Acid! Hello ladies and gentlemen of the internet, I'm the Penguin, the Sea Penguin, and welcome back to another Mod Spotlight. Today, we shall be looking at the MineChem mod. Yes, now, MineChem is very interesting, and a mod that I have seen for many years now, and I thought I'd do an video on it finally. The words. Anyway, so to start with, it adds chemicals to the game, MineChem. If you couldn't guess, then maybe you should read a book. Anyway, to start with, we have the decomposer. Now, the chemical decomposer is made up of 7 iron, an atomic manipulator, and a redstone. Now, the atomic manipulator is 8 pistons and a block of iron. So, nice and easy. Now, what this will do, well, when you place it down, and you give it some power. So you do need power for this mod. I will say that now. You do need power. Don't know why I'm saying power. I want a redstone. I need a redstone energy cell. I think I could probably get a creative energy cell. There we go. So I'm just going to plonk this down next to it. And open up NEI and set it to day. So what this will do is it will take, you can see it's stored energy. You've got all the help there that you need. So what this will do, so if I take wood, for example, what this will do is it will take an element and break it down into its components. As you can see, I got 8 cellulose. As you can see, it's made up of C6H10O5. Now, if I put cellulose in, that breaks down into carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And you would not be able to break these down anymore if I tried, because they are elements in themselves, whereas this is a molecule. Obviously, you can pump liquid in as well, so you can quite easily break down molecules. And with the next machine, which is the microscope, you can actually analyze these molecules. So I'm just going to pop that down. The microscope, it's all microscopy. And to craft the microscope, which I didn't explain, it's just brain count 5 iron with a glass pane and a microscope lens. And a microscope lens is a convex lens, a concave lens, and another convex lens. Now, to make a convex lens, you need 5 glass. I have seemed to have a problem with 5s. 5 glass in the shape here. And to make the other lens, the concave lens, you will need a H of glass, which is nice and easy. You will also need the chemist's journal. Now, to make the chemist's journal, it's just a book and a glass, and that will give you the chemist's journal. Now, you can look in here, and you can put in your chemist's book, like so. So, place the item under the glass to discover new recipes. Press the switch on the right to toggle between recipes for the decomposer or synthesizer. So, if I was to take, say, some cellulose, and I was to take carbon and, say, oxygen, and look in here, if I put cellulose in, so as you can see, if I was to decompose cellulose, I'd get that, but to synthesize it, I would also need that, plus 100 energy. So now if I look in here, it should have written cellulose. So if I was to get cellulose, if I was to decompose it, there's a 100% chance I would get C6H10O5, and to synthesize it, it would cost 100 energy to get that. So as you can see, it's quite cool. Now, if I was to say get rid of cellulose, and I was to put carbon under, and maybe some oxygen, no, it's not going to work. So it doesn't work with actual elements. But if I was to say get one of the more radioactive elements, say I got some uranium, it might have a different possibility. So hardly radioactive. So as you can see here, you've got the hardly radioactive 4 hours, 47 minutes, and 53 seconds. What that means is that it will decompose after that amount of time. But as you can see, it's Minecraft time. Or is it Minecraft? No, I don't think it's Minecraft time. So if I was to put this under the microscope, like so, as you can see, it doesn't really decompose or anything like that. So that's quite cool. Or what about if I got, let's say radioactive. Radioactive. So something highly radioactive, like rutherfordium. Now, if we look under rutherfordium, as you can see, it doesn't really that because it's an actual element. But again, if you were to get maybe one of the chemicals, like say aluminium oxide, and I was to analyze it, we'd get 100 energy to synthesize aluminium and oxygen, and if I was to decompose it, I'd get aluminium and oxygen. Look in the journal. So aluminium oxide, 100% and 100. So yeah, that's the microscope. I probably went a bit too in-depth on that, but you get the idea. Next, we have the synthesizer. Now, if I was to use the synthesizer, it needs to be powered. I can put this in here, and these are the things I can make, because they're in my inventory, I believe. So, what else can I put in there? So, we've got aluminium oxide. The chemical synthesizer table takes a recipe of elements and molecules and synthesizes an item. To discover recipes, make a microscope. Each item costs a certain amount of energy to sustain. Or to synthesize, sorry. So if I was to put, say, carbon and oxygen in, these are, I haven't analyzed that, so I don't have the ability to do that. So I could make aluminium oxide. So if I was to click cellulose, now in here, if I put it in, it wants to make cellulose. But if I wanted to make something like water, I'd have to do that. So if I was to take, say, something like a water bucket, like so, and put it under the microscope, like that, and write it in my book. As you can see, you've got 16 water, iron, 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 because the bucket bit. So if I was to decompose, I'd get those. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this, decompose it. So I'm going to get all this water and that, then I'm going to decompose the water. I'm going to take a little bit out and analyze the water, just so it knows how to make it, like so. Then I'm going to take the hydrogen and the oxygen, and then in my little journal here, I'm going to click on water. So now, if I go in here and put this in, it wants to make water. So if I just put 2 hydrogen and an oxygen, I can make a piece of water. Now, as you can see, all of these have a shift to show effect. That brings me on to the poly tool, which is over here. Now, the poly tool is 64 nano carbon tubes, which is decomposing a diamond, and you get 6 nanocarbon tubes. So as you can see, it's very expensive, but it's an all-in-one tool. It's a sword, it's a shovel, a pick, and an axe. And all the elements can upgrade and unupgrade it, if that makes sense. So they each have stats, different things. So if I was to add oxygen to it, it gives an extra air while mining underwater. So if I was to mine underwater, I get an extra bubble. If I was to add hydrogen, it creates an explosion if hit entity is on fire. So things like that. So it's pretty cool, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, so I'm just going to shove all this away in my inventory. So that covers the main 3 machines. Next, we've got the projector, which is a projector lens, iron, glass pane, iron, and a redstone lamp. Projector is 2 concave lenses and a convex lens in the projector. Now, you need these blueprints, which you can craft with a diamond block and a piece of paper, and a diamond and a piece of paper. Now, this is a fission chamber blueprint, and this is a fusion chamber blueprint. Or I believe you might be able to trade these with villagers, I'm not sure. So, yeah, so I'm going to set this up. I'm going to put it that direction, I think. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of these in. So I'm going to put in the fission one first. So as you can see, it's built this structure. So what have we got? 98 tungsten plating. The blueprint projector is used for building complex structures such as the fusion chamber. You can only buy blueprints from a librarian villager. So we've got that, or we can put this one in, which is that one, which is quite cool. And I'll move on to the plating in a second. I'm going to build the fusion chamber because I'd rather show you fusion than fission. And if you don't know the difference, fusion is fusing element cores together, and fission is the opposite, where you break them apart. So I'm going to show you tungsten plated wall, which is 6 iron, 2 tungsten, and beryllium. Now, you can decompose tungsten or chemical buckets and things like that. So you have to find the elements and analyze them and things like that. So kind of like Thorncraft, if you want to, analyze things and things like that, but a bit more sciencey, which is quite cool because I like sciencey things. So that's how you make that. And the fusion wall is 6 iron and 3 lead. And before I continue, I'll look on the leaded chest, which is just 8 lead around a chest. And this is required for radioactive elements. Radioactive elements will hurt you if you keep them not in a leaded chest. And they will also decompose into other elements as they do in real life due to decay and things like that. So there's some science for you. So I'm going to take all of these. So we've got the fusion chamber blueprint. So I'm going to put this down like so. So as you can see, it moved on to the next layer. So I'm just going to speedily build this. Oh, and just as a quick thing, you do not need to place them on anything. So if I was to look here and right click, it will just fill it in as shown. So yeah, you don't even have to worry about placing them in the wrong place. You can just literally just place them down, which is quite cool. Okay, and we're back, and as you can see, it finished off one block before the actual projector, so that's something to note. And now we have this big, massive fusion cell. So, got no recipe in, and it needs some RF, so I'm just going to get one of these. Can I put it there? Does that work? Is that filling up with power now? Yeah, there we go. It's filling up with power. So, as you can see, it takes a lot of power. And I assume I can put it anywhere, yeah. So I'm going to shove a load of these creative energy cells on top. Like so, just to get it nice and filled up. There we go, so that's filling up quite nicely, quite fast. So, what I need to do with this is the fusion chamber takes two elements and fuses them together with great energy, combining their masses to create a heavier element. So, to create some heavy elements, say I was to simulate the process our sun does, which is converts hydrogen into helium. Helium has 2 protons in its cell. hit an entity, floats away, which is quite cool for helium. So hydrogen is 1 and helium is 2. So if I was to put together 2 heliums, like so, if I was to put 2 hydrogens, I create a helium. So that is the process of fusion, mainly in our sun. So if I was to take, say, something like potassium, which is 19, and I was to take fluorine, which is 9, and neon, which is 10, I should get a potassium, which is 19, because it adds the masses together. So if you can't do basic maths, you should be reading. So as you can see, it made a potassium. So you can fuse the lesser elements that you have, even if you have basic hydrogen. So you could do something like this. Say you wanted, I don't know, say you wanted a element of, say, aluminium, or say you wanted potassium, you know, as you do. So I could say take a piece of wood, you know, something nice and basic like wood, shove it in here, get loads of cellulose, decompose the cellulose, like so. So then I can add together, say, 2 oxygens and hydrogen. Add that together, so I get oxygen and an oxygen. Gives me sulfur, which is 16. Then if I was to take, say, a couple of hydrogens, so we get chlorine, argon, and potassium. So you could take base elements and mix them together. And fission does the opposite. It will take an element and split it apart, which is quite cool. So you can pretty much build anything in the game, as long as it has an ability to do so. So you can make food, you could make bread out of coal, and things like that. And you can make some very interesting elements, as I will now say, as I have on my phone right here. So you can make methamphetamine, which is C10H15N, which is quite awesome. So you can create methamphetamine, and all these things do different things. So methamphetamine will do 4 damage to you, give you nausea 5 for 40 seconds, but also give you speed 7 for 1 minute. Pardon me. You also got psilocybin, which is C12H17N204P, which is night vision for 20 seconds and nausea for 10. A lot of these things don't do anything, but one of the better ones is aspartic acid, which is C4H7NO4. If you don't know these things, a lot of these are hydrocarbons, except hydrocarbons only have hydrogen and carbon, but they're molecules which are usually referred to as hydrocarbons or organic chemistry. And if you use aspartic acid, you will get haste 2 for 20 seconds, jump 2 for 20 seconds, and refills 1 hunger. So that's some pretty cool things. And I've already explained these 2 things, so I think that wraps up the mod pretty much. The fission one you can build yourself. As you can see, this takes a lot of parts, whereas the other one's only a 5x5, so by 5 I think, so it's a bit smaller. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it, please do subscribe for more videos from me, and please do like, it really helps me out. So thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
When I think of the future, I think of the men and machines and friends and ideas and philosophies and experience.